I had prepared a table full of dishes for John Smith's birthday, only to be stood up. I glanced at the clock on the wall. It was already 9:23 p.m., and he wasn't answering his phone. A sense of unease began to creep in, worrying that something might have happened. Just as I was about to head out, the door clicked open. John Smith staggered in, clearly intoxicated, seemingly having encountered something that delighted him. He walked over and pulled me into his arms, lowering his head to plant a light kiss on my lips. He chuckled softly and nuzzled into my neck.
"You're finally back!"
Ha! I've been waiting for you.
I replied, hugging him back. Then he blurted out another woman's name.
"Lily. I miss you so much. You have no idea how much I've suffered these past years."
The smile on my lips gradually faded, replaced by a chill in my heart. I realized that, at this moment, he mistook me for Lily Johnson, his long-cherished love.
Why have you been suffering?
"Because you weren't by my side."
And your girlfriend, Sarah Brown?
"What does she matter? I never liked her."
His words pierced my heart like a knife. My eyes reddened, and my heart ached as I listened to his drunken confession. Lily Johnson had returned to the country, and he had dinner with her tonight. He said he was happy she remembered his birthday. He admitted that he chose me only because I resembled Lily Johnson, a mere substitute.
She was so stupid. All these years, she thought I actually liked her.
What shocked me even more was that 5 years ago, when I was cornered by thugs in an alley and threatened with a sharp blade, it was John Smith who orchestrated the whole thing. He was the true mastermind behind the staged rescue, a trap designed to make me fall for him step by step. I was nothing but a fool, thinking we were the perfect couple envied by everyone, when in reality, he had fed me a poisoned candy. I even tattooed his name over the scar on my thigh, wholeheartedly devoted to him. How disgusting it all seemed now.
So love can be an act. John Smith, you truly are a masterful performer.
Narrator, tone, sad. The words pierced Sarah's heart like a knife. Her eyes reddened, and her heart ached as John drunkenly confessed.
Lily Johnson returned to the country. We had dinner tonight. She remembered my birthday. You know, I only chose you because you resemble her. Just a substitute.
Narrator, tone, sad. His words shocked her even further. 5 years ago, when she was cornered by thugs in an alley, it was John who orchestrated the whole thing, a staged rescue to make her fall for him.
Sarah, tone, sad. I thought we were the perfect couple, but it was all a poisoned candy. I even tattooed your name over the scar on my thigh.
She was so stupid. All these years, she thought I actually liked her.
Narrator, tone, serious. So love can be an act. John Smith, you truly are a masterful performer. Sarah's heart felt like it had been stabbed by John Smith's words. Her eyes welled up as she listened to his drunken confession.
Lily Johnson returned, and we had dinner tonight. I'm happy she remembered my birthday. You know, I chose you because you look like her. You're just a substitute.
The revelation hit Sarah hard. But what shocked her even more was the truth about the alley incident 5 years ago.
She was so naive. All these years, she thought I actually liked her. It was all a setup, a trap to make her fall for me.
So it was you, all along.
She had tattooed his name over the scar on her thigh, believing in his love. Now, it all seemed so repulsive. The next day, I went to the office to deliver lunch to John as usual. But as soon as I walked in, I sensed something was off. Every employee who greeted me seemed to be looking at me with a hint of pity.
What's going on?
I made my way to the office door, hesitating before knocking.
I need to know.
I saw Lily Johnson eating a strawberry cake, a bit of it smeared on her nose. John gently wiped it off, gazing at her with a tenderness I had never seen before.
Eat slowly, no one's going to take it from you.
Oh, Sarah's here.
Want some strawberry cake? John bought it for me. It's delicious.
I used to love strawberry cake too, but he never bought it for me. Then, with a sarcastic tone, Lily mentioned a banquet later, a project she and John were working on.
Sarah, you wouldn't refuse such a request, would you?
Of course not.
At the banquet, I met their business partner, Mr. Anderson. He kept pouring me drinks and glancing at me from the corner of his eye. Feeling uneasy, I messaged John saying I wanted to leave early. But he ignored my message.
Sarah, hurry up. You haven't toasted Mr. Anderson yet. You're the only one left.
As soon as I touched the glass, Mr. Anderson's other hand brushed against mine. I pulled my hand back forcefully.
What's wrong with you?
Oh, I was just worried you wouldn't hold the glass steady.
I rolled my eyes and walked out, feeling disgusted.
Disgusting.
When John returned, he didn't care if I had a headache from drinking too much. Instead, he questioned me.
Sarah, you know Mr. Anderson is our business partner. Why did you offend him?
He had bad intentions.
Do you think you're some kind of goddess? Irresistible?
What do you mean by what's the big deal? Am I not important to you at all?
I don't want to argue with you. I think we both need to calm down.
He said that and went back to his room. I felt drained. He always chose to give me the silent treatment. His words pierced my heart like a knife. My eyes reddened, and my heart ached as I listened to his drunken confession.
Lily Johnson has returned. We had dinner tonight. She remembered my birthday.
He admitted that he chose me only because I resembled Lily Johnson, a mere substitute.
You know, 5 years ago when those thugs cornered you in the alley? That was me. I orchestrated the whole thing, the rescue, everything.
I was nothing but a fool, thinking we were the perfect couple envied by everyone. How disgusting it all seemed now.
She was so naive. All these years, she thought I actually liked her.
So love can be an act. John Smith, you truly are a masterful performer. John Smith ignored her and ran straight towards me, trying to embrace me. I stepped back a few paces to avoid him, and he seemed stunned, looking at me with confusion in his eyes.
Sarah, are you still mad at me?
Couldn't you wait for the rain to stop without an umbrella? Does my discomfort not matter? Is Lily Johnson your girlfriend?
I questioned him coldly, one sentence after another, and he seemed to grow impatient.
I told you, Lily has a weak constitution. And every time you say your stomach hurts, you're just being overly dramatic.
Yes. I'm dramatic, I'm gullible, I'm just a fool.
What nonsense are you talking about?
I didn't want to argue with him anymore. I sent him a video and then deleted him from my contacts.
I was just drunk that night. It won't happen again.
John Smith, don't you find yourself disgusting?
All along, I was just a substitute.
She was easy to deceive. A staged hero rescue and treating her like a pet made her fall for me, giving me her heart and soul.
Thinking back on every past event, a wave of grievance surged in my heart. My eyes reddened, my voice choked with emotion.
Let's break up.
Sarah?
Get lost.
He tried to say something, but Jessica Taylor chased him out with a broom.
Sarah said break up, so get out of here. Don't ever show up in front of her again.
With a loud bang, the door slammed shut. 3 years later. Since breaking up with John Smith, I cut off all contact with him and moved to another city with Jessica Taylor. Over these 3 years, I poured all my energy into my career, starting a company with Jessica. Although busy every day, I felt incredibly fulfilled. No longer haunted by unpleasant memories, I rarely suffered from insomnia anymore.
Everyone, no matter how busy, you still need to eat.
Kevin Davis placed a box of homemade meals on the table.
Mr. Davis, your cooking skills are amazing. Whoever marries you will be so lucky.
She winked at me as she spoke. The man in front of me, Kevin Davis, was the wealthiest man in F City, owning numerous businesses. I met him when I first arrived in F City. That day, heavy snow was falling, and as usual, I got lost. I couldn't find the hotel Jessica had sent me the location for. To make matters worse, my phone and bag were stolen. I couldn't remember the name of the hotel. Desperate, I sat on a park bench, hoping to ask a passerby to call Jessica. My social anxiety made me hesitate every time someone walked by. Half an hour passed, and I was still sitting there in the cold. Suddenly, a shadow blocked my sunlight. I looked up to see a very handsome man. He was truly good-looking, far surpassing John Smith. I couldn't believe I once thought John Smith was handsome. I simply hadn't seen the world.
Do you need help with something?
He seemed very gentle. I gathered my courage and explained my situation. After calling Jessica, he said he knew the hotel and took me there. His name was Kevin Davis. I thought it was just a chance encounter, but later, when Jessica and I faced financial difficulties in our startup, he helped us out. He also helped me recover my stolen belongings. Gradually, we became close, and over the years, he helped me a lot. 2 years and 7 months after meeting Kevin Davis, one night, he invited me to dinner and suddenly confessed his feelings.
I assure you, I won't pressure you. This isn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. Take your time to consider.
Over the past 2 years, I could feel his genuine affection, unlike John Smith. But I wanted to focus on my career first.
I'm not in a hurry. I'll wait for you.
Kevin handed us 2 invitations, saying they were for a business gathering with many entrepreneurs from F City and other cities. Attending would greatly benefit our future business collaborations. I thought I would never cross paths with John Smith again until I saw him at a gathering. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed him chatting with his friends. I felt no waves of emotion.
Sarah, where have you been these years? I've been looking for you.
Mr. Smith, long time no see.
He reached out to take my hand.
Mr. Smith, please maintain your distance.
His hand froze mid-air, his brows furrowed in confusion.
Sarah, I truly know I was wrong. After you left, I never sought out Lily again. I really miss you.
We broke up long ago. Whoever you like now has nothing to do with me.
Kevin Davis waved at me from the other side. I glanced at the time. It was time to go.
Sarah, wait.
Somehow, he found out my company's address. The next morning, I received a variety of breakfast items he had sent through an employee: steamed buns, shrimp dumplings, sticky rice chicken, milk, strawberry cakes, and more.
Why the breakfast today?
He shook the bag he was holding, sounding a bit disappointed.
Looks like these won't be needed.
I still prefer your cooking.
Kevin then placed a project proposal on my desk, tapping it lightly with his finger.
It's from John Smith. Should we take it?
Of course, why not make money?
Kevin stared at me for a moment without speaking, then nodded and left with a light chuckle. Jessica Taylor probably told him about my past with John Smith. When I left work that evening, John Smith was already waiting downstairs. Time truly is a great healer. Seeing him there, I only felt a sense of annoyance at being disturbed. John Smith seemed puzzled, asking why I had been sharing the breakfast he sent me with other employees lately. I had already made it clear many times that I didn't want it.
And stay away from Kevin Davis in the future.
Mr. Anderson, my personal affairs are none of your business, are they?
Can't you see he has inappropriate intentions towards you?
Mr. Anderson, if it's not about work, then I'll be heading home.
He grabbed my wrist, frowning.
I told you I know I was wrong. What more do you want from me?
I used all my strength to shake off his hand and rolled my eyes at him in exasperation. Just then, Kevin Davis's voice came from behind.
Mr. Anderson, what brings you here today?
Kevin, stay away from Sarah.
Why should I listen to you?
He didn't press further, only leaving with a parting remark.
Sarah, I'll make you fall for me again.
That night, Jessica Taylor, upon hearing about it, angrily pinned me down on the sofa.
Oh my God! You don't still like that jerk, do you?
Of course not.
Collaborating on a project with him doesn't mean I still have feelings for him. The fact that I can face him calmly now shows that I've truly moved on. But what good does it do for him to show up now and say he knows he was wrong? During the time we broke up, I suffered from insomnia every night, the pain crashing over me like waves, suffocating me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him being affectionate with Lily Johnson behind my back. Trapped in that terrible relationship, I couldn't escape, constantly anxious about my appearance and doubting if I was just not good enough. But thankfully, Jessica Taylor and Kevin Davis pulled me out of that abyss. Why should I go back just because he says he was wrong? Never again. It's too exhausting.
Honey, you should pay more attention to the people in front of you.
She chuckled.
Look at Kevin, he's been chasing you for quite a while now.
Kevin is indeed quite good in many ways. But I probably just need a little more time. One day, late at night, I heard intermittent footsteps behind me in a dark alley. I shivered, feeling a chill down my spine, and quickened my pace. Suddenly, a strong force yanked my collar from behind, causing me to stumble and fall to the ground.
Hand over all your money. Now.
He snatched my bag and tried to pull off the necklace from my wrist, but before he could touch it, someone kicked him to the ground.
Stay away from her.
You dare to hit me! You better get lost while you can.
They started fighting, and in the scuffle, John Smith's wrist was unfortunately cut.
Serves you right, ha ha ha. You shouldn't have meddled.
Suddenly, a beam of light shone towards us. A police patrol happened to pass by the end of the alley, saw the scene, and quickly apprehended the robber. I took John Smith to the hospital for bandaging and paid his medical bills.
John Smith, thank you.
It's nothing, as long as you're okay.
Out of guilt, I brought him homemade meals every day for a while and left without staying. But one night, John Smith said his hand was in severe pain, and I was worried.
John Smith, are you here?
Suddenly, the lights came on, revealing a room filled with flowers and stuffed animals. John Smith stood in the middle, pulling a box from his pocket.
Sarah, I don't want to miss out anymore. Will you marry me?
I already have someone I like.
Kevin Davis, right? What's so great about him? Was he the one who saved you when you were in danger?
Mentioning this made me want to laugh. Did he really think I was still the naive girl blinded by love? His act wasn't even that convincing, I just didn't bother to expose it. I glanced at the fruit knife on the table, picked it up without hesitation, and made a cut on my wrist.
Sarah, what are you doing?
He hurriedly grabbed some tissues to press against my bleeding wrist. I watched the blood drip to the floor. I dodged. What's another cut? I've been slashed before, and it hurt more than this.
It's settled.
I shook my injured hand and let out a light laugh.
And as for that project, since Mr. Anderson's focus isn't on it, there's no need for us to continue the collaboration.
Do you still hate me? I've really cut ties with Lily Johnson. Why can't you give me another chance?
I had heard before that the Johnson and Smith families were discussing a marriage alliance, but to everyone's surprise, John publicly refused.
I didn't cherish what I had and only realized my regret after losing it.
Those 5 years I spent by his side were genuinely happy, but I didn't know how to appreciate it.
We've long been separated, and there will never be another chance.
Hearing this, his eyes gradually reddened, his voice choked with emotion.
Sarah, I can change everything for you, really.
But I won't like you anymore. John Smith, falling into the same pit twice, would make me look very foolish.
Later, I got together with Kevin Davis. He truly is a gentle person, attentive to details and the sense of occasion.
Baby, I miss you.
I started crying silently, and after calming down, he immediately sensed something was wrong.
Crying? It's okay. I'm here.
Who knew he would finish his work overnight, book a flight, and come back to comfort me? Every time he returned, he would bring me a bouquet of flowers and a strawberry cake because he knew I liked them.
If I had met you earlier in our youth, you wouldn't have suffered so much. I would have protected you well.
But isn't it a blessing from above that I later encountered such a good relationship? A year later, Kevin and I got engaged.
I sent an invitation to John Smith, but he didn't accept it.
He came over, angrily tore up the invitation, his eyes gradually reddening as he looked at me.
Sarah, you can't do this to me.
It doesn't matter if you don't come.
To my surprise, he grabbed my wrist and knelt in front of me, his eyes red and tears welling up.
I was really wrong. Please come back to me. I will treat you well from now on.
Too late.
I took a few steps back, stared at him for a moment, then turned and left. Even though he called my name humbly behind me, I didn't look back. Later, he probably gave up completely and stopped bothering me, gradually disappearing from my life.
Liking someone isn't enough, mutual affection and effort are what matter. Genuine love, with responses to every word, is what gives me a sense of security.
So I wore my wedding dress and married the man I loved, who also loved me. Fortunately, I waited for it.